Good morning. Yeah, I'm here at Tynemouth Beach. A bit blustery, but at least it's not raining. It was a quiet weekend, and I'm going to talk about Excel as I normally do at the end. There was a post on Friday that you haven't seen, go and check it out. But today I want to talk about a business philosophy that I saw attempted quite successfully in the 2000s, 2010s, but it's not really appropriate for a modern era. And I want to explain a bit about what that is and why. So my background before business consultancy is in the oil and gas industry, but I've seen this philosophy tried in multiple different industries. And that is when there is business volatility, when there's things happening outside the business that you can't control. Businesses, especially in the oil and gas industry, but as I said, seen it plenty of times outside of that now, they batten down the hatches, they pull in the rigging, they basically tear down to the core products, they minimize their resources, and that resources often include staff, and they wait out whatever business volatility occurs. I always saw risks in that, even back when I saw it being undertaken successfully. I saw the potential of losing knowledge. I saw the potential of processes and systems being over-engineered for more busy, complex time. But when the business volatility is short-term, 3, 6 months, even a year, it can have its place, because when things ramp back up, you want to have those processes and systems in place for the busier times. The issue now is that it's not business volatility. The biggest change that I saw in the oil and gas industry was at the Deep Horizon disaster. None of the companies that I worked with was involved with Deep Horizon, but Deep Horizon had a sea change across the industry. And that sea change was basically that they weren't looking for bespoke, just tolerance engineered products that did the job at the minimum sort of cost, but maximum engineering. What they wanted was something that was over-engineered, something that was mass-produced, something that had stood the test of time. And there's plenty of products that's been in the oil and gas industry for 30 years that have got that proven record. And so they didn't want the edge of technology, because edge of technology has risks. And this wasn't a business volatility issue. This was a sea change issue. This was a different way that the industry was working, and businesses that didn't see that change, that didn't understand that change, that kept going to the maximum edge of engineering technology, just couldn't then keep up, because this wasn't a volatility that was going to last 6 months, 12 months, a year. This was the continuing picture moving forward. And the problem that we now have across all businesses in the UK is the changes that we've seen all the way back since Brexit are larger, significant changes that aren't just going to go away. You know, we've had Brexit, we've had energy crisis, we've had tariffs, we've had the complications with the employers' national insurance. All of these combined, compounded facts mean that there is no magic bullet. There is no, it's going to fix itself in 6 months. It's going to be okay in a year. These are the way that business is structured. These are the way that we live. I spoke to several businesses, deliberately went out and canvassed opinions back in 2004 in spring, so we're talking 2 years ago now. And then when I asked about when they were going to look at the processes, systems, automation, new technology, the answer was that, well, they were waiting for better economic factors. They were waiting for better situations to put the to then have the outcost of the continuous improvement project, that at the minute they weren't having any extra overheads. And I've seen a lot of businesses go under because they're waiting for that magic bullet. Many people thought Labour government was going to be it. It wasn't. And I'm not going to get into politics here. I'm not going to get into the mistakes. But what we now need to see is that policy doesn't work. Now, I talked about risks earlier, and there's always been risks with this policy. The risks are that you're potentially losing critical business knowledge. And so if you've got somebody working in your business for 10 years, there's things that they know about the business which aren't the business process side of it. They're the business quirks. They understand what the sub-suppliers need. They understand some of the quirks of the office printer. They understand how to get the most out of certain managers. They understand how to bring certain things together. They understand who to go to in department X. They understand this particular part of the system, how that functions. They understand that 3 years ago they did this particular project that didn't fit in the system, and to get any information you have to go in this particular file and pull out this thing. They understand things that you can't document quite as easy. You can document it, but no one's going to read that documentation. No one's going to look at it. No one's going to understand it. Now, getting rid of those people, it's a risk, and it's not going to shut down a business. It's not going to cause a business to suddenly cease to exist, but it erodes the business. It erodes the business intelligence. It erodes what that business can potentially do and move into. And that erosion, if it's short term, is fine, but if it's long term, if you've got complex processes and systems because you're expecting the busy period to come back and it doesn't, and you've got rid of all of your extra services and all your things on the side, you've got nowhere to go. You've got nowhere to move into. You've got no extra overheads to suddenly spend on that improvement project. And what businesses should be doing and what you should be looking at before you pare down is your process systems and looking at your technology. And if you're already in that pared down situation and you're now worried about how you can move out of it, it's about data. It's about looking at AI. It's about looking at automation. And I'm not saying AI is going to take over a person's job. That person that I was talking about before that had that particular unique knowledge about the business. But it can help produce new shortcuts. And those shortcuts are temporary. I'm not saying that every business should start looking at shortcuts, but what we should be looking at is temporary shortcuts to then look at how to pivot the business. What is it that's unique about your business, that's always been unique about your business, that you can utilize in a new way, that this more complex, more financial constraint world that we're in, what is it that we can do with the legislations that we've got in, that we've got the limitations? What is it that's unique about your business that we can move forward into? And I can help with that, but also there'll be people within your business that can help with that. And some of those people are those people with that business intelligence. So providing they're still with you, they're the business people to tap into first. They're the people to look at and to see what it is that they can see that's unique about the business. And that usually these people aren't managers. These people are just under the managers. They're the people that the managers go to when they have questions. They're the people that the managers trust to run meetings on their behalf when they're not in. These are the people to talk to understand. And those complex processes and systems need simplified. We need to see how to jump from one to another milestone more easily, more streamlined, because that overcomplication can hold the businesses back. And sometimes that's combining departments that you've always kept separate. And sometimes that's looking at the data within the systems and paring it down to the critical things that you need for that pivot. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. There was an Excel post on Friday about using the if error. I really encourage people to go and check that out. If error, I've got reports of major companies. So these are broadband media companies where they produce a table of something and they send it out, and it's an automated bill that's been pulled together using various different reports. It looks very Power BI. And included in there is an Excel table. And if that Excel table has a division by zero error in it, it immediately makes me question the comparability of that business. I understand all the automation, and they've done some really good job to pull the automation in into a report that's then sent out, but no humans looked at it. You can tell by the way that some of the wording is, you can tell by that table. Some really simple review of that data, some really simple formulas can make that table look professional for the first point, but also just a human review of some of that data can really help. Just make sure that you're not sending out something that's incorrect. Now, if a larger business can have that error, smaller businesses can have that error too, and smaller businesses should be relying on automation a lot more, but also that human factor. And so just have a consideration about what tables, what information you're sending out, but also have a thought about how the consequences of some of those data errors are having in the rest of your data across the organization, across the different departments. Right, it's cold here, colder than I was expecting, but it's bright, so we're definitely at the end of the dark times. Soon we'll hopefully have some sort of a sunrise coming in, but I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go to networking. I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, if you have any information that you want me to answer, if you would like just to have a free chat about anything I talk about, please let me know, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.